Hey, warrior, listen to me for a second. Stop scrolling. Stop running. Stop pretending you don't feel it. That emptiness, that gnawing sensation in your chest when you're alone with your thoughts. You know what I'm talking about. That moment when you realize you've been chasing something, someone who doesn't even see you, begging for attention from people who wouldn't cross the street to help you, seeking validation from a world that feeds on your desperation. And the worst part, you know it. Deep down, you know you're better than this. But you keep doing it anyway. You keep texting first. You keep explaining yourself to people who've already made up their minds. You keep offering your energy to those who drain it without a second thought. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, once wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that. The Emperor of Rome, commanding armies, controlling nations, and what does he write to himself in the darkness of his tent? That true power isn't in controlling others. It's in controlling yourself. It's in mastering the one thing you actually own, your response to life. But we've forgotten this. Modern life has turned us into beggars. We beg for likes. We beg for replies. We beg for people to choose us, to notice us, to validate that we matter. We've become so addicted to external approval that we've lost touch with the only approval that ever mattered, our own. We chase people who run from us. We fight for relationships that have already ended. We hold on to jobs that destroy our souls because we're terrified of the unknown. We accept disrespect because we think being alone is worse. We diminish ourselves, shrink ourselves, twist ourselves into shapes we don't recognize, all because we're afraid that if we stand still, if we go silent, if we stop performing, we'll disappear. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Your silence is not weakness. Your stillness is not surrender. Your refusal to chase, to beg, to explain yourself to people who don't deserve your words, that's not defeat. That's power. That's the kind of power that makes noise uncomfortable, that makes manipulation impossible, that makes disrespect unthinkable. The Stoics understood something profound. They knew that the loudest person in the room is often the weakest, the one who needs to prove themselves constantly, the one who can't sit with their own thoughts, the one who fills every silence with words because silence reveals too much. But the person who can be silent, the person who can watch the chaos unfold without reacting, the person who can be rejected, ignored, dismissed, and still hold their head high. That person is dangerous, not because they're cruel, but because they're free, and freedom terrifies a world built on control. So let me ask you something. When's the last time you sat in complete silence and felt at peace? When's the last time someone disrespected you and you didn't feel the need to defend yourself? When's the last time you walked away from something that no longer served you without looking back, without second-guessing, without wondering if you made a mistake? If you can't answer that, then you're not free. You're still a prisoner of other people's opinions, a prisoner of your need to be chosen, a prisoner of your fear of being alone. But this message isn't for everyone. I need to be clear about that right now. If you came here looking for tricks to manipulate people, to play games, to punish someone who hurt you, this isn't it. If you're here because you want revenge, because you want to make someone jealous, because you want to use silence as a weapon to wound, you've missed the point entirely. This message is for the ones who are tired of diminishing themselves, tired of chasing people who aren't running toward them, tired of living in reaction mode, where every move you make depends on what someone else does first. This is for the warriors who are ready to reclaim their power, not over others, over themselves. This is for those who understand that silence isn't about punishing anyone. It's about protecting yourself. It's about honoring your energy. It's about refusing to participate in your own disrespect. If that fire still burns inside you, that small flame that refuses to die even after everything you've been through, then keep listening. Because in this video, you're going to learn the ancient Stoic laws that will teach you how to stop chasing, how to stop begging, and how to turn your silence into the most powerful force in your life. Number 1, stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Let's start with the hardest truth. You're wasting your life trying to make people see your side, defending your choices, justifying your boundaries, explaining your feelings to people who've already decided you're wrong. And every time you do it, you lose a piece of yourself. Because here's what happens. You open up. You make yourself vulnerable. You lay out your reasoning, your pain, your truth, and they twist it. They use it against you. They make you feel crazy for feeling what you feel. So you explain again, differently this time, thinking maybe if you just find the right words, they'll finally understand. But they won't, because they don't want to. Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and became one of the greatest philosophers in history, taught his students this: if you wish to be a writer, write. If you wish to be a philosopher, philosophize. Don't wait for permission. What he meant was simple. Stop seeking approval for who you are. Stop asking permission to exist as yourself. Stop explaining your path to people who aren't walking it with you. The Stoics believed that most conflict comes from trying to control what cannot be controlled. And you cannot control how people perceive you. You can be kind, and they'll call you weak. You can be strong, and they'll call you cold. You can be generous, and they'll say you have an agenda. You can set boundaries, and they'll say you're selfish. There is no version of you that will satisfy everyone. So why are you killing yourself trying? In modern life, we see this everywhere. You explain why you can't attend an event, and instead of accepting it, people interrogate you. You set a boundary, and instead of respecting it, people demand you justify it. You make a decision for your own well-being, and people act like you owe them a dissertation on why. But you don't. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. You don't owe anyone access to your reasoning. You don't owe anyone a defense for living according to your values. The average person will spend their entire life performing for an audience that isn't even paying attention, crafting explanations for people who've already made up their minds, seeking understanding from people who profit from your confusion. But the Stoic knows that explanation is only valuable when given to those who truly wish to understand. Everyone else, they get your silence. And here's what's beautiful about that. When you stop explaining yourself, something shifts. People either respect you more, or they reveal they never respected you at all. Either way, you win. Because you're no longer wasting your energy on people who don't deserve it. You're no longer giving power to people who use your words against you. You're standing in your truth without needing validation. And that, my friend, is freedom. So let me ask you this. Who are you explaining yourself to right now? Who, in your life, demands justifications for your choices, your feelings, your boundaries? Think about their face. Think about how many times you've tried to make them see. Think about how exhausted you are. Now, imagine what would happen if you simply stopped. If the next time they questioned you, you said nothing, or you said, "I've made my decision," and left it there. How would that feel? Terrifying? Maybe, but also liberating, because for the first time you'd be choosing your peace over their approval. And that's where transformation begins. Type this below if you're ready to stop explaining yourself. I don't owe anyone access to my inner world. I protect my peace in silence. Say it, mean it, live it. Number 2, silence reveals who actually values you. Here's a brutal truth most people avoid. The moment you go silent, you discover how little you actually mattered. Not because you're not valuable, but because most people only valued what you did for them. Your attention, your effort, your availability, your ability to make them feel important. The second you stop initiating, stop reaching out, stop carrying conversations, stop being the one who always shows up, you find out who was real and who was just comfortable. And that revelation will hurt. It will hurt like hell, because you'll realize that some people you considered essential never even noticed you were gone. That friend you always texted first, they haven't reached out in months. That person you always made plans with, they're living their life just fine without you. That relationship you thought was mutual, it was transactional. You were giving, they were taking, and the moment you stopped giving, they moved on to the next source. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving." The process is a mutual one. People learn as they teach. Real relationships are reciprocal. They're built on mutual respect, mutual effort, mutual growth. But most of what we call relationships today are just arrangements of convenience. People who need something from you. People who like the version of you that serves them. People who stay as long as you're useful and disappear the moment you require something in return. And the only way to identify these people is through silence, by stepping back, by stopping the pursuit, by refusing to be the one who always initiates. Because here's what silence does. It removes your effort from the equation. It strips away the performance. It forces people to show you who they are when you're not doing all the work. And what you'll find is this. Some people will panic. They'll reach out. They'll ask if you're okay. Not because they miss you, but because your silence disrupts their comfort. You were predictable. You were always there. Now you're not, and it confuses them. These people will try to pull you back in, not out of love, but out of habit. Then there are those who won't notice at all. And that's the hardest pill to swallow. The people you thought about daily won't think about you once. The people you prioritized will forget you exist. The people you would have dropped everything for won't even realize you stepped away. But then, and this is crucial, there are the rare few who will notice for the right reasons. They'll reach out with genuine concern. They'll ask how you're doing, not what you can do for them. They'll make an effort because they value you, not your utility. These are your people. These are the ones worth your time, your energy, your silence breaking for. The Stoic doesn't mourn the loss of those who were never really present. The Stoic sees silence as a filter, a way to separate the real from the fake, the committed from the convenient, the depth from the shallow. In a world obsessed with constant connection, Silence is the most honest test of relationship. It shows you who stays when you stop performing, who cares when you're not constantly available, who values you as a person, not as a function. Modern culture tells you to keep trying, keep texting, keep showing up, keep proving your worth. But the Stoics would tell you the opposite. Step back, be still, let your absence speak, because the people who matter will feel it, and the people who don't, they were already gone. You just hadn't noticed yet. I want you to think about your life right now. How many relationships are you carrying on your back? How many conversations are you forcing? How many people are in your life only because you refuse to let go? What would happen if you stopped? If you went silent for a week, a month? If you stopped being the one who always reaches out? Who would still be there? Be honest with yourself, because the truth is, most wouldn't. And that's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their capacity. Some people simply don't have the depth to appreciate you, and that's okay. Let them go. Your silence isn't rejection, it's reclamation. You're taking back the energy you've been pouring into bottomless cups. You're redirecting your attention toward those who actually reflect it back. You're choosing quality over quantity, depth over noise. And that's not loneliness, that's liberation. Comment below. My silence shows me who deserves my energy. I don't chase. I attract, and mean it. Because when you truly believe that, everything changes. Number 3. Begging for love teaches people you don't value yourself. Let's talk about the most painful pattern. The one that keeps you up at night. The one that makes you feel weak even though you'd never admit it. You keep going back, texting, calling, explaining, apologizing for things that weren't your fault, accepting crumbs when you deserve the whole meal, convincing yourself that if you just love harder, give more, be more patient, they'll finally see your worth. But here's the truth. Every time you beg someone to treat you right, you're teaching them you'll accept being treated wrong. Every time you chase someone who's walking away, you're telling them your presence has no value. Every time you shrink yourself to fit into someone's life, you're confirming that you believe you're too much. And people believe what you show them, not what you say, not what you wish. What you tolerate becomes your standard. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste the remaining part of your life in thoughts about others unless your thinking serves the common good. For when you think about what someone is doing, why they are doing it, what they are saying or planning, you rob yourself of the opportunity to do something else. Think about how much time you've lost, how many hours you've spent analyzing someone's behavior, wondering why they didn't text back, trying to decode their words, making excuses for their disrespect, convincing yourself it's not that bad, that it'll get better, that they'll change, but they won't, because they don't have to. You keep accepting less, so why would they offer more?" The Stoics understood that self-respect is not negotiable. It's not something you earn from others. It's something you embody in yourself. And when you have it, truly have it, you cannot beg. You cannot chase. You cannot tolerate disrespect, because it would be a betrayal of who you are. Modern dating culture has made begging normal. We call it fighting for the relationship. We romanticize it. The person who keeps trying, who won't give up, who loves so hard they break themselves. But that's not love. That's desperation. Love doesn't beg. Love doesn't diminish itself. Love doesn't accept scraps and call it a feast. Real love is reciprocal. It's chosen. It's freely given and freely received. Anything less is not love. It's attachment. It's fear. It's the terror of being alone disguised as devotion. And the moment you recognize that, you'll stop. You'll stop texting first every time. You'll stop making excuses for someone's lack of effort. You'll stop convincing yourself that you're being patient when really you're just being disrespected. And you'll start honoring yourself. Not with words, with action, with boundaries, with the quiet dignity of walking away from anything that requires you to beg for it. Here's what happens when you stop begging. One of two things. Either the person realizes what they're losing and steps up, or they don't. And both outcomes are a gift. If they step up, you've just shown them how you deserve to be treated. If they don't, you've just freed yourself from someone who never valued you. Either way, you win, because you chose yourself. You refused to participate in your own devaluation. You stood firm in the truth that you are not an option. You are not a backup plan. You are not someone who has to earn basic respect and decency. You are whole. You are enough. And anyone who doesn't see that immediately is not your person. The Stoic doesn't chase. The Stoic doesn't beg. The Stoic presents themselves as they are, complete, grounded, sovereign, and allows life to respond. Those who are meant to stay will stay. Those who aren't will leave. And in both cases, you remain untouched, unshaken, free. So stop texting them. Stop checking their social media. Stop wondering if they miss you. Stop creating reasons to reach out. Stop lowering your standards because you're afraid no one else will meet them. Stand still. Be silent. And watch what happens. Watch how your energy shifts. Watch how your self-respect returns. Watch how the right people start noticing you precisely because you stopped begging the wrong ones. Your silence is not punishment. It's protection. It's you saying, I will not fight for someone who won't choose me. I will not diminish myself to make room for someone who doesn't make space for me. I will not beg for love. I will embody it, and I will only share it with those who reflect it back. Type this if you're done begging. I am whole without them. I choose myself every single day. Say it until you believe it, then live it. Number 4. Your reaction is the only thing you control. Let me take you somewhere real. You've been wronged, betrayed, lied to, disrespected. Maybe by someone you trusted. Maybe by someone you loved. And every fiber of your being wants to react, to explode, to defend yourself, to make them see what they did, to hurt them the way they hurt you, and you can. You absolutely can. But here's the cost. Every time you react emotionally, you give your power away. Every time you let someone's behavior control your peace, you make them your master. Every time you explode in anger, defend yourself desperately, or seek revenge, you prove that they still own you, that they still have access to your inner world, that your emotional state depends on their actions. And that, my friend, is slavery, not freedom. Epictetus, who spent years in literal chains before gaining his freedom, taught this: it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. He knew something most people never learn. External events are neutral. They have no power except the power you give them through your reaction. Someone disrespects you. That's just a fact. It's your reaction that determines whether it destroys your day or becomes irrelevant background noise. Someone betrays you. That's just information. It's your response that decides whether you crumble or use it as fuel to rebuild stronger. The event itself? Powerless. Your reaction? Everything. And this is where most people lose. They think reacting makes them strong, telling someone off, exposing them, getting revenge, defending their name. But the Stoics would tell you that's weakness disguised as strength. Because true strength isn't in your ability to hurt back. It's in your ability to remain unmoved, to observe chaos without becoming chaotic, to be insulted without needing to insult back, to be wronged without needing to be right. Modern life has conditioned us to react instantly. Someone posts something that bothers you? Comment immediately. Someone says something offensive. Respond in outrage. Someone ghosts you? Send a paragraph demanding closure. We've become addicted to immediate reaction. We think silence equals weakness. We think restraint equals cowardice. But the opposite is true. Reacting instantly is easy. Any animal can do it. Pause. Reflect. Choose your response consciously. That requires strength. That requires discipline. That requires a level of self-mastery most people will never achieve. And that's exactly why you must. Because in a world full of reactive people, the person who can remain calm is untouchable. They cannot be manipulated. They cannot be baited. They cannot be controlled. Think about the last time someone tried to provoke you. Maybe they insulted you. Maybe they ignored you. Maybe they did something specifically to get a reaction. And if you reacted, if you exploded, defended, explained, they won. They got exactly what they wanted. They disrupted your peace. They made you dance to their tune. They proved they still have power over you. But what if you said nothing? What if you simply observed their behavior, recognized it for what it was, and chose not to participate? What if you let their words fall into silence, unanswered and irrelevant? That would drive them insane, because people who try to provoke you need your reaction. They feed off it. They use it to justify their behavior, to feel important, to maintain control. But when you refuse to react, when you meet their chaos with silence, you take all their power away. You show them that they are not significant enough to disturb your peace. And that is the ultimate victory. Not because you hurt them, but because you protected yourself. The Stoic trains for this daily. They prepare for insults, betrayals, disappointments, not by building walls, but by building unshakable inner stability. They ask themselves, what if someone insults me today? Will I let it define my worth? What if someone betrays me? Will I let it destroy my trust in myself? What if life doesn't go as planned? Will I crumble, or will I adapt? By preparing mentally, they remove the shock. They remove the emotional hijacking. They create space between stimulus and response. And in that space, they find freedom. So the next time someone wrongs you, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Will reacting change anything? Or will it just drain me and give them satisfaction? Most of the time, the answer is clear. It's not worth it. Let it go. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to choose peace over pride. Your silence in the face of provocation is not defeat. It's dominance. It's you saying, you cannot move me. You cannot control me. I am the master of my reactions, and nothing you do will change that. Type this affirmation if you're ready. I control my response. No one else has that power. I am unmoved by chaos. And watch how your life transforms when you live by it. Number 5. Silence forces people to face themselves. Here's something most people don't realize. When you go silent, you're not just stepping back from them. You're creating a mirror. And that mirror forces them to see themselves without the distraction of your words, your reactions, your energy. Suddenly, they can't blame you. They can't point to something you said or did. They're left alone with their own behavior. And that terrifies people. Because most people don't want to face themselves. They don't want to sit with their choices. They don't want to acknowledge the role they played in pushing you away. So they project. They blame. They create narratives where you're the villain and they're the victim. All to avoid the simple truth that your silence revealed. But here's what's powerful. Your silence doesn't need to defend itself. It doesn't need to argue. It doesn't need to prove anything. It simply exists. And in existing, it speaks louder than any words ever could. The Stoics understood that most people live in delusion. They create stories to protect their egos. They rewrite history to avoid accountability. They surround themselves with yes people who validate their version of events. But silence cuts through all of that. It's the one thing they can't manipulate. They can twist your words. They can misinterpret your actions. But your absence? Your refusal to engage? That's undeniable. That's a statement they can't reframe. And it haunts them. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But eventually, in a quiet moment when they're alone, they'll think about you. They'll wonder why you stopped. They'll replay the last conversation. They'll question their behavior. And if they have any shred of self-awareness, they'll realize. They'll realize they took you for granted. They'll realize they crossed a line. They'll realize that your silence wasn't cruelty. It was consequence. In modern relationships, we're terrified of silence. We think we need to hash everything out, to have closure, to explain how we feel and hear how they feel and reach some mutual understanding. But sometimes, the most powerful closure is no closure at all. It's walking away without the final word, without the dramatic exit, without the need to be understood. It's trusting that your actions speak clearly enough, that your absence delivers the message, that your silence says everything that needs to be said. And for those who are ready to hear it, it will resonate. They'll sit with it. They'll grow from it. They'll change. For those who aren't ready, they'll stay stuck in their narrative. They'll paint you as cold, as cruel, as the one who gave up. And that's fine, because their opinion of you is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to yourself, to your peace, to your growth, to your refusal to participate in toxic cycles. Think about the people in your life who wronged you, the ones you kept trying to fix things with, the ones you kept explaining yourself to. What if you had just gone silent sooner? What if instead of giving them paragraph after paragraph of how they hurt you, you had simply stopped engaging? Would they have learned more from your silence than they ever did from your words? Probably. Because words can be debated. Silence cannot. Words can be dismissed. Silence cannot. Words can be forgotten. Silence lingers. It sits in the space you used to occupy. It echoes in the conversations you're no longer part of. It reminds them, constantly, that you chose yourself. And that choice is permanent. So stop trying to make people understand. Stop writing the texts you'll never send. Stop rehearsing conversations in your head. Just go silent. Walk away. Let your absence do the teaching. Let them sit with the emptiness of a life without you. And let that be enough. Because here's the truth. Some people will never apologize. Some people will never admit they were wrong. Some people will never give you the closure you're seeking. And if you wait for that, you'll wait forever. But if you give yourself closure through silence, if you decide that you don't need their acknowledgement to move on, you're free. You're no longer held hostage by their inability to reflect. You're no longer waiting for permission to heal. You're just free. Comment this if you're ready to let your silence speak. I don't need their apology. I release them with my silence, and mean it, because that's how you reclaim your power. Number 6. Discipline in silence builds unshakable character. Let's go deeper. Silence isn't just about other people. It's not just a tool for relationships or a response to disrespect. Silence is a spiritual practice. It's a form of discipline. It's how you build the kind of inner strength that nothing and no one can shake. Because when you learn to be silent externally, you start to master silence internally. And that's where the real transformation happens. Think about how loud your mind is. How many thoughts race through it every second? Worries about the future, regrets about the past, judgments about others, doubts about yourself. Your mind is a battlefield. And most people lose that battle daily because they never learned to be still. They never learned to sit with themselves in silence. They need constant noise, music, podcasts, conversations, scrolling, anything to avoid the silence, because silence is where the truth lives, and the truth is uncomfortable. Marcus Aurelius spent years on military campaigns, surrounded by chaos, death, and pressure. Yet every night he wrote in his journal, in silence, in stillness. He wasn't writing for an audience. He was writing for himself, processing his thoughts, challenging his assumptions, reminding himself of what mattered. And that practice made him one of the greatest leaders in history. Not because he was the smartest, not because he was the strongest, but because he had mastered himself. He had built a fortress of inner discipline that external chaos could not penetrate. And he did it through silence. The Stoics practiced what they called negative visualization. They would sit in silence and imagine worst-case scenarios. What if I lost everything tomorrow? What if I was betrayed by those I trust? What if I failed publicly? And by facing these fears in silence, they removed their power. They prepared their minds. They built resilience, so that when hardship actually came, they were ready. Not reactive, not panicked, ready. Modern culture fears silence. We've built an entire economy around distraction. Social media, streaming services, endless content. All designed to keep you from sitting alone with your thoughts. Because if you did, you might start asking dangerous questions. Am I happy? Is this the life I want? Are these people good for me? Am I living according to my values? And those questions lead to change. They lead to growth. They lead to you stepping out of the systems that profit from your distraction. So they keep you busy. They keep you scrolling. They keep you so overstimulated that you never have to face yourself. But the person who can sit in silence, the person who can turn off all the noise and just be, that person is dangerous. Because they know themselves. They've faced their fears. They've processed their pain. They've built a relationship with their inner world that no external validation can replace. Discipline in silence means this. You don't immediately react to your emotions. You feel them. You observe them. You let them pass. You don't fill every awkward pause with words. You let the silence sit. You trust it. You don't need constant entertainment. You can be alone and at peace. You don't overshare. You don't explain every thought. You hold space for mystery, for privacy, for the parts of you that belong only to you. This kind of discipline transforms you. It makes you grounded. It makes you trustworthy. It makes you powerful in a way that doesn't need to announce itself. People feel it. They sense that you're different, that you're not performing, that you're solid. and they're either drawn to that or intimidated by it. Either way, you're no longer seeking their approval. You've found something deeper. You've found yourself. So here's your practice. Every day, sit in silence for 10 minutes. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. At first, it'll be uncomfortable. Your mind will race. You'll feel anxious. You'll want to grab your phone. Don't. Sit with it. Breathe through it. Let the thoughts come and go like clouds. Don't engage them. Don't fight them. Just observe. And over time, something shifts. The noise quiets. The clarity comes. You start to see patterns in your thinking. You start to recognize what's real and what's just fear. You start to build a relationship with yourself that's honest, compassionate, and strong. And that relationship becomes your foundation. The thing that holds you steady when everything else is falling apart. Type this commitment if you're ready. I commit to silence. I commit to knowing myself. I am my own foundation. And watch how everything else falls into place when you do. Number 7, the right people will respect your silence. Here's the final truth. The ultimate test. The people who truly value you will not punish you for your silence. They will not guilt you. They will not manipulate you. They will not demand explanations. They will respect it. They will give you space. They will trust that you're doing what you need to do for yourself. And when you're ready, they'll be there. Not because they're waiting for you to come back and serve them, but because they genuinely care about your well-being. These are the people worth breaking your silence for. The ones who don't take your quietness as rejection. The ones who understand that sometimes silence is self-care. That sometimes stepping back is not about them. It's about you protecting your energy, your peace, your mental health. These people exist, but you won't find them if you're too busy chasing the ones who punish you for having boundaries. Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius, "Cherish some man of high character, and keep him ever before your eyes, living as if he watched you, and ordering all your actions as if he beheld them." The Stoics believed in having standards, in surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, who challenge you to be better, who reflect the values you're trying to embody. And they knew that sometimes that means letting go of people who don't meet that standard. Not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. Because you cannot grow if you're constantly pulled down by those who resent your growth. You cannot find peace if you're surrounded by chaos. You cannot build yourself if you're spending all your energy managing other people's feelings about your boundaries. The right people will see your silence and think, they must be going through something. I hope they're okay. I'll check in gently and give them space. The wrong people will see your silence and think, how dare they ignore me? Who do they think they are? I need to punish them for this. See the difference? One is rooted in empathy and respect. The other is rooted in ego and control. And once you see that difference clearly, you stop wasting time on the wrong people. You stop feeling guilty for protecting yourself. You stop breaking your silence to appease people who never deserved it in the first place. And you start building a life surrounded by those who understand, who respect, who reciprocate. In your life right now, think about the people who've respected your boundaries. The ones who didn't push when you said you needed space. The ones who didn't guilt you when you chose yourself. The ones who celebrated your growth even when it meant you were changing. Those are your people. Invest in them. Show up for them. Reciprocate the respect they've shown you. And let go of the rest. Let go of the people who only want you available on their terms. who only value you when you're convenient, who resent your silence because it disrupts their comfort. They were never yours to begin with. They were just passing through. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to walk the whole path with you. Some people are lessons, some are blessings, and some are just there, temporary, conditional, shallow. Your silence reveals which is which. So trust it, honor it, and let it guide you toward the connections that are real. This is the Stoic way, to surround yourself with virtue, to let go of what does not serve, to build a life of quality, not quantity, to choose depth over breadth, to value one true friend over 100 hollow acquaintances, and to do all of this without bitterness, without resentment, without the need to punish those who couldn't rise to your level. You simply release them, with gratitude for what they taught you, with compassion for where they are, and with clarity about where you're going. Comment this if you know who your real people are. I attract what I embody. I surround myself with respect. I release the rest with peace and live by it. Now let's bring this all together. Let's tie every thread into one undeniable truth. You are not here to chase. You are not here to beg. You are not here to shrink yourself so others feel comfortable. You are here to live fully, authentically, powerfully. And the way you do that is by mastering the one thing most people never will: yourself, your reactions, your energy, your presence, your silence. The ancient Stoics didn't have the distractions we have. They didn't have social media feeding them constant comparison. They didn't have algorithms designed to make them feel inadequate. But they had the same human struggles, the same fears, the same temptation to seek validation from the outside world. And they overcame it the same way you will, by turning inward, by building a fortress of self-respect so strong that nothing external could shake it. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but at night, alone in his tent, he reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Epictetus was a slave, powerless in every external sense, but he became one of the freest men who ever lived because he mastered his internal world. Seneca faced exile, betrayal, political chaos, but he wrote some of the most beautiful philosophy ever created because he refused to let external circumstances define his inner peace. These men had nothing in common externally, but internally they shared the same truth, that freedom is not found in controlling others. It's found in controlling yourself. That power is not in being chosen. It's in choosing yourself. That peace is not in the absence of chaos. It's in your refusal to become chaotic. And now, here you are, in a different time, a different world, but facing the same choice. Will you spend your life chasing people who don't see you? Begging for scraps of attention from those who don't value you? Reacting to every provocation, every insult, every betrayal? Or will you stand still? Will you go silent? Will you build yourself into someone so grounded, so secure, so at peace with who you are, that you don't need anyone's validation to know your worth? The choice is yours. But understand this: every time you chase, you lose. Every time you beg, you lose. Every time you react emotionally, you lose. Not because the other person wins, but because you abandon yourself. You trade your peace for their attention, your power for their approval, your freedom for their validation. And that trade will destroy you. But the moment you stop, the moment you choose silence over explanation, stillness over reaction, yourself over their opinion, everything shifts. You reclaim your energy, you rebuild your self-respect. You remember who you are beneath all the noise. And that version of you? Unstoppable, unshakable, free. This is not about becoming cold. This is not about shutting people out or building walls. This is about boundaries. This is about standards. This is about recognizing that your silence is not a weapon. It's a sanctuary, a space where you protect your peace, a place where you honor your worth, a practice where you become the person you were always meant to be. Time is running out, not in some abstract, distant future. Right now, today, this moment, Marcus Aurelius meditated on death constantly, not to be morbid, but to remember what mattered. He would ask himself, if today were my last day, would I spend it chasing someone who doesn't value me? Would I spend it explaining myself to people who are determined to misunderstand me? Would I spend it begging for a place in someone's life? Or would I spend it living according to my values, building something meaningful, loving those who love me back, being at peace with who I am? The answer was always the same, and it should be the same for you, because you don't have forever. You have now, and every moment you waste on people who don't see you is a moment stolen from your own life, from your own growth, from your own peace. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to stop chasing today, right now. You're going to stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You're going to stop begging for love from people who are offering crumbs. You're going to stop reacting to every provocation. You're going to step into your silence, not as a punishment for them, but as a gift to yourself. And you're going to trust it. You're going to trust that the right people will respect it, that the wrong people will reveal themselves, that your peace is worth more than their approval, and you're going to build a life from that place, a life where you are whole, where you are grounded, where you are free. This is the Stoic path. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. It's not what everyone else is doing. But it's the path to freedom, to power, to peace. And once you walk it, you'll never go back, because you'll realize that you never needed anyone to choose you. You just needed to choose yourself. You never needed anyone to validate you. You just needed to know your own worth. You never needed anyone to complete you. You were already whole. You just forgot. But now you remember. Now you know. Now you stand. In silence, in strength, in yourself. And nothing can move you. So take a deep breath. Let go of everyone who doesn't serve your highest good. Release the need to be understood by those who refuse to see you. Step back from the chaos and walk into your silence, your power, your life. The Stoics would be proud, not because you conquered others, but because you conquered yourself. And that, warrior, is the only victory that matters. Comment your truth below. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video if it resonated. Subscribe and walk the Stoic path with us. And remember, you don't chase, you don't beg. You stand in your silence, and you let your life speak for itself. Now go and become who you were always meant to be.